Well, I have to say that before the llamas arrived and when I was ebbing in my training and my interest in just that intensity of training, I wondered, well, what are we supposed to do now? Are we supposed to move south, sell the farm? I can't imagine leaving my farm. My farm is my life. But then the llamas came along, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm so energized by the transition from llama to. I'm so energized by this new species that came along.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, where I speak with fascinating people from all over the world, from every walk of life, who will inspire you to live with zest. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, and my mission is to bring you optimism about aging and help you make full use of the new opportunities that only come at this stage of life. To find out more about the podcast, hop on over to zestfulaging.com. And while you're there, sign up for my weekly email newsletter, The Insider, where you will get fun and quirky tidbits about the show and my exploits, including when I went python hunting in Florida and my participation in the National Senior Games. And if you love the podcast, I'd be grateful if you shared it with your friends. Our music is courtesy of Judy Banker, who was a previous guest on the show. Find out more at judybanker.com. And our technical director is Stephen Litweiler. Well, how do you celebrate special anniversaries? If you're like me and your beloved podcast turns 5, you start thinking about what would be fun and a little different. The anniversary celebration deserved its own day, so I took the day off, headed up through the Adirondack Park, and about 2 hours later, I found Moose River Farm. The owner, Ann Phinney, is a former teacher and a lover of all animals, although she has a special place in her heart for horses. She took us on a winter walk around her farm, Llamas in tow. What a great way to celebrate zestful aging. And thanks again to guest Janet Riley for the great idea. We're here with Ann Phinney, and she is the what would you say?
Owner. Yep. My husband and I own Moose River Farm in Old Forge, New York.
And we're here on a pretty crisp day, not as cold as it gets. So I know a little bit of your story, that you were a teacher. And when you were a teacher, were you already really involved in the animal world?
Very much so. In fact, I became a teacher because I wasn't able to really make a living out of the collection of animals that I had, particularly horses. So teaching was something that I went out and got my master's degree for after I was already living in the Adirondacks with horses and trying to make a living teaching riding. It seemed like I really needed to do something else.
So it was a practical kind of
there,
thing.
yes.
You had to find a way. And then, so you taught what grades?
I taught here in Old Forge at the Town of Webb School, and initially I was hired as a 6th grade self-contained classroom teacher. And over the 26 years that I was there, trends in education changed. So I went from 6th grade to 5th grade for a while, and then at the end of my career, I was a middle school math and science teacher. So 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
And I'm sure in a community this small, they knew about you and your horses.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Did you bring in your love for animals into your own curriculum as a teacher?
Oh, boy. Yes, I did. So when I initially took on the 6th grade, I filled my classroom with pets. And I mean, they were pets because I wanted the students to have a relationship with them, but they were also animals that I wanted them to understand the natural history of and the correct care of. I wanted them to have a balance between the two. So we're talking about 2 iguanas lived in my classroom for about 9 years. I think I had the animals 9 years. And then I had rats, which are one of my favorite indoor small animal pets, especially for children. And we had hedgehogs, and we had a wonderful old world chameleon, a veiled chameleon named Hugh, because he changed color, Hue.
Clever.
And those animals really, they were my co-teachers. They filled in the gaps where I could not. And they made my classes so cohesive because we all cared for these animals.
I see.
And there was just so much. I mean, I could go on and on and on for days about the advantage of having animals in the classroom. But sadly, after 9 years, schools became very fussy about allergies, and the world was changing so rapidly. And so the animals had to leave the classroom, which just about broke my heart.
That was an administrative.
It was an administrative, yes.
Decision based on some of the policy changes.
Yes.
Concerns.
Yes.
How did the kids react?
Well, it was sort of, I mean, the kids were devastated. I mean, we basically took away the best part of our classroom. I was devastated as well because I thought that the benefits were far outweighed the concerns. We were really good about sanitation, and it may not have looked that way because they do go to the bathroom. My iguanas actually were trained to go to the bathroom on a tray, and I wanted the kids to be, part of the care and the taking care of the animals. Yep. And unfortunately, that new administration came in and they didn't feel the same way. So, yeah.
Did you remain teaching in the district?
I did.
After that?
Oh, I did. Yes, I wasn't really in a position to leave, but it really did work out in the end because then I sort of concentrated more on my animals at home and having more diversified animals at home, and then what eventually leads to Moose River Farm, which is very diverse and open to the public. So I think it was just meant to happen.
Your dream.
I guess, yeah. Uh-huh.
Did you imagine this for yourself as a younger woman, that one day you would be doing animals 24/7 of all varieties and bringing people and introducing them to your llamas?
Definitely. I grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia with a passion for horses that was really an addiction and very difficult on my family because we were not in a position to own horses. We lived out in the suburbs, so having them in our backyard was not going to happen. However, my parents did take me for riding lessons. They did as much as they could. At the time, it didn't seem like enough. I was just voraciously hungry for horses. But fast forward, my father eventually gave in and did allow me to have a horse for the last 2 years of my high school experience. By that time, I could actually take care of them myself. I boarded her in a barn where I did all the work and took care of her, so that cut down on the expense a little bit. And then seeing my dedication and realizing that it would be cruelty to take her away from me, she went to college with me for 4 years. So it all comes out on the other side. But
where'd you go to college?
I started at Centenary College, which is in Hackettstown, New Jersey, where I studied horses. It was a horsemanship equine studies program.
Okay.
And after 2 years there, I graduated with an associate's degree and transferred to Cornell for animal science.
I see, because I know a couple schools like Casanova has an equine
Yes.
center. Yeah.
Yes.
I see. So what?
Yeah. So going to Cornell broadened my experience with animals. It wasn't just horses. And but then when I graduated, I had an animal science degree, and then what? And then life gets really kind of crazy. I took a job teaching horseback riding up here in the Adirondacks, met my husband, got married a year later, and brought my horse with me. And then he built me a little barn at our house, and then there was another horse, and then I gave some riding lessons, but it still wasn't enough to sustain, my side of the marriage. So that's when I decided to go back to school and get credentials to teach.
You have talked a little bit earlier about doing therapy for some more vulnerable kids with horses. Tell me about that.
I developed a program called Equireflection. It is not a one-of-a-kind program. There are many, many therapy programs with horses. I need to, because I'm not a licensed therapist, I'm very careful to call it equine-assisted learning.
Okay.
And it is an opportunity for people to work with horses. It's not riding. It's not like physical therapy that's provided for people with disabilities in riding centers. This is more of mental health care. And it is an opportunity for people to work with horses on the ground and use their body language to communicate leadership skills. So when you're vulnerable, grieving, or you are a child at risk, or I've worked with some people who have PTSD, life is it's careening out of control. And if you can just get a hiccup from that chaos where your body actually controls and somebody non-human responds to you, it's very emotional and very cathartic. And so that's what Equireflection does. It's really a visual thing, but it's based on the principles of something called join up, which horse people will understand. They'll know exactly what that is. But it's sort of mimicking what horses do in the wild, where there is one mare who runs the herd. The stallion is really out and about running around protecting the territory, but there's usually a mare who is controlling, and she's crowd control for the rogue little colts and the very tired, drained mares who've been, nursing their babies and all. She's the leader of the group. And when horses are misbehaving, typically it's the little colts. As their testosterone starts surging, they start mounting mares and biting and kicking. And so she'll discipline them. So I use the principles of what she does with horses. Now, it's not... Now, this sounds like, well, she's disciplining, that's kind of a negative feedback, but it isn't. She puts the colt in a position so that he's a little vulnerable out there on the outside of the herd. That's where, things can happen to you unless you submit. And so we can mimic what she's doing by keeping horses moving until they start to give you some signs that they're ready to submit to you. And when you quiet your request for them to, keep moving about you, they come right to you and want to be right at your side. They're wired that way. And for people who maybe aren't used to horses or haven't been around them, they have this big animal come into your space and submit to you and want to follow you and see what are we doing next. It's really a powerful experience.
I imagine there's trust is
it's
really
all about
foundation.
Trust.
Can I trust this animal who could hurt me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the horse also gives signals so that the person can relax. And when you're relaxed and your adrenal glands stop pumping adrenaline, then this sort of mutual cohesiveness comes together. And then what I ask people to do is to walk, and the horse will remain right there at their side, walking. So it's the basics, too, of something called liberty work, which is what the circus animals or the circus horses used to do with the trainer in the middle. And, well, those people seem to know about this wonderful form of training and communication with horses long before, it became sort of a therapy for people.
And they're wired that way, different maybe than your llamas?
Very differently,
Okay.
yes. Yeah. So llamas have come into my life only in the last 6 years. I'm a horse person who suddenly has been beguiled by llamas. And llamas belong to the camel family, and they are my first experience with camelids. I wanted 2 llamas to aid me in an ag program that I developed for children to come to the farm and learn animal husbandry of all these different species. I went looking for animals to add to it. This was after I retired from teaching. And so I went back and forth, llamas and alpaca. I chose llamas because they're the working animal. And I thought that would be more interesting to children than an alpaca who stands around and grows hair. So at the urging of the woman that I bought my llamas from, she just casually mentioned what llama trekking was. And when I heard that, I thought, walking with a llama, I would love that. I'll do that every day for the rest of my life. So two llamas
came
turned into
together.
10 llamas, and here we are trekking with the general public. And it's really a wonderful way to ease into retirement. I don't train and ride horses like I used to. I do some trail riding, but I really love working with the llamas. As you said, you were asking me if they were different. They're more of a when we work with the llamas, we are doing it in a repetitive sort of way. We just adding and keeping everything very calm and quiet, and then they love to walk along. They don't like chaos. They like quiet, serene. And the way that my situation has worked, llamas come in and join the existing llamas, and they just sort of follow suit. It's nice and quiet, it's not chaotic, and they're happy to follow along.
So there's a learning curve for you. I mean, you obviously know a lot about horses, but you've also been learning about new species,
Right.
And how appropriate they are for different tasks. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. You may have noticed that Zestful Aging Podcast does not run a lot of ads. That's because I'm just not willing to endorse products that I don't have total confidence in and that I don't use myself. So it really means something when I tell you that after I interviewed Dr. Bill Rawls on cellular health, read his books, and learned about his high standards for quality control, I was sold. I placed an order for Vital Plant supplements immediately. I encourage you to check out both of my interviews with Dr. Bill Rawls and hop on over to vitalplan.com. If you enter Zestful15, they will give you a 15% off of your first order. I'm really excited for you to try these products. I think you'll be very impressed. Now, back to the show.
This is probably such a big question and maybe hard to answer, but how has doing this work influenced your own aging?
Well, I have to say that before the llamas arrived and when I was ebbing in my training and my interest in just that intensity of training, I wondered, well, what are we supposed to do now? Are we supposed to move south, sell the farm? I can't imagine leaving my farm. My farm is my life. But then the llamas came along, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm so energized by the transition from llama to. I'm so energized by this new species that came along. I love hiking in my woods. I love seeing my farm from all different angles and all, and it's allowing my horses to sort of, drift away and age gracefully, and I love spending more time on the ground with them, not feeling like they have to be worked. So it has sort of recharged, I think, my batteries. I'm not ready to give in to aging. I clean my stalls and do all the work, and my husband does all the maintenance, and of course he's built every structure that you see on the farm. So I don't know that we think we're aging.
You don't feel aged.
I don't. I mean, I could complain about all my aches and pains in my body, but I love to get up in the morning and come out and be with my animals. So.
And I know you've written a couple of books, and from what I've gleaned, you have a spiritual relationship. Yeah. Can you describe that?
Well, I've loved animals my whole life. Horses, of course, are they're in my bones. They're in my blood. There have been various times of my life where they've kind of had to take a back seat, like when I was in college, and, education was certainly up front, but there was always a horse there to retreat to. Horses bring, animals in general, when I see them, I feel a sense of that is just like the finest part of my life, are dealing with all these different shapes and sizes of living things.
And
So,
do they feel different to you, like your relationship? You introduced us to 3 of your beautiful horses. Does it have a different sense? Do each of them have a different feel
among
to
the
it?
horses individually, yes. Well,
they
they have
do.
very different personalities, and they've come to me at different parts in different points in their life. So my 2-year-old thoroughbred, who's now 23, is my baby. He was a baby when he came. He needed me like a youngster needed me, and so still to this day, I have a very, very strong mother. It is a nurturer infant sort of bond, absolutely. And I don't want to make it anthropomorphic. I don't, is that the word?
Yeah.
I don't want to make it sound like that. I see him as a horse. I treat him like a horse, but he definitely, his personality is very, 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 very close to me. In contrast, my big American saddlebred horse he came to me when he was 9 years old, and he had some not issues, he came from caring people who took wonderful, wonderful care of him and trained him beautifully, but it's just in his mind he's a little more standoffish. And I still needed him to learn and to train. So he was more like a student. But I loved my students, but it was more, he didn't need me to nurture him so much. He needed me to raise expectations and give him the opportunity to be successful. Very different than the thoroughbred. So, that gives you an idea.
Yeah, different parts of yourself
Exactly.
come out. Yeah, yeah. And you have your dogs.
Yes. Well, and my goats. My goats
Your
are really
goats.
my baby girls.
Yeah. You have the goats.
They are my baby girls, and they are more like dogs to me. And my 3 dogs, I think we're on our 3rd generation of dogs. We have 3 miniature dachshunds who are, they are our babies. We don't have children of our own, so anybody who lives in the house is they are our babies.
And does that feel different than your relationship? I mean, I am also a dog lover, and I have a baby monster at home. Does that feel different than your relatedness to your horse?
Yes, because dogs are liars. Dogs are liars. They love us no matter what. I can come home on my worst day and they don't even see it. They don't even realize that I'm not having a good day. They just want to make me feel, like they missed me and they can't get enough of me. Horses can't afford to be that uncareful, because dogs are fellow predators. That's an alliance that we formed with them, and we basically have the same goals in life, and that is to eat meat, hunt down what we need, and for sustenance.
And there's some question about who's the boss of whom.
Exactly,
If you look at
that's right.
The history, who's using whom.
And we all have met people where the dogs really do take over too much, and can become aggressive as a result. But now, with horses are prey animals. Why do they trust us? That to me is the greatest miracle on the planet. Why this animal who really smells the meat that we've been eating still, and as I described in Echo Reflection, will come to you if you use your body language and communicate with them. Why do they come to us? We could eat them. But they have decided in domestication and from the wild to domestication that we're worth it. We're worth the risk, because most of the time we afford them the same protection that they're afforded in their herd. And so what have they done for us? We've eaten them. We've taken them into battle and had them slaughtered on the battlefield. They took very good care of us until the Industrial Revolution, when we tossed them away. Now they're for entertainment. They race for us and they jump for us and do all kinds of sporting things with us. I mean, it's an amazing alliance based on predator-prey. I mean, defying predator-prey, where our dogs are a predator-predator relationship. I think it's amazing.
When you think about it in those terms, who's benefiting here and how are we helping each other, and is it worth it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. So what do you want to tell people about the farm and why they might want to come up here?
Moose River Farm's a really special place where we enable people to come and to interact with all of our animals. It's hands-on. You're going to pet donkeys and have your arms around them. You pat horses. We have a very amorous gander, which is the male goose who will greet you at the door and fall in love with you. We call him our speed dating goose. When large groups of people come, he's very entertaining. And of course, we have the llamas, which we offer llama trekking, which is simulating what they're used for in the Andes Mountains. Llamas are still more reliable than motorized vehicles for getting gear and supplies up into those remote areas of the mountains. And so we simulate that by letting people hike with a llama at their side. We have beautiful trails. We offer this trekking all year round. Winter is my favorite because there are no bugs. So the farm is basically a place where we want people to come and experience animals on a very hands-on, interactive. And my only mission is that you leave with a big smile on your face, having had the best time.
And interacted and felt a little bit of what you feel, like how
exactly.
special this is, and just so different, right, than run of the mill. I'm sure you've considered having retreats here.
Yeah, yes, I leave that kind of open to people. We're going to have a wedding. Somebody is going to be married in August with llamas at their side. And so we're open to any kind of a creative thought process or opportunities or activities that people want to do. We've entertained Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts and field trips for schools in the spring, certainly. So, yeah, we're open to just about anything.
And could you remind our listeners where's the best place to find more information?
We have a website at mooseriverfarm.com. And also we're present on Facebook and Instagram and
Lots of 5 stars, I noticed.
Oh, yes. And TripAdvisor has been really a great, has really been a great boost for, letting people have a place to talk about Moose River Farm and also to find out about us.
And are there places nearby here that people and families might be interested in? You're up here in the Adirondacks and Old Forge. Are there places that they might make a sort of a weekend?
Yes, Old Forge is known for, in the summertime, our big water park, which is called the Enchanted Forest or Water Safari, and that is a big draw in the summertime. There's also camping and hiking, and Macaulay Mountain is a ski resort in the wintertime, and we are a snowmobiling venue in the wintertime. So Old Forge is really a happening place.
It's a happening place. I was just wondering as we were driving up here, a lot of people from New York, or where are people coming from?
New York and New Jersey.
New York and New Jersey.
Yeah, Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia area or the Allentown area. But we also have a lot of people, I notice, Rochester and Buffalo are big draws to Old Forge. Yeah.
And it's about how far from Rochester?
I think it's about 2.5, 3 hours.
Okay.
Buffalo, a little more, maybe four. New Jersey, it's right up the Northway, so that might be 5 hours. Yeah.
What a wonderful. And you have 2 books.
I do.
You want to talk briefly about what they're all about?
Sure. In 2013, I published my first book, which is called Finding My Way to Moose River Farm, and that is sort of my childhood and this crazy love for animals, particularly horses, decisions I made along the way. But it's told through the stories of the animals that I have lived with. And so I tell the stories of how they've come into my life and where that period of time in my life was. And of course, it culminates with the building of this beautiful farm that my husband cleared the land, milled the wood, built the barn, built the house. It's really an amazing
effort here.
Definitely.
Yeah. Does he feel the same loving connection, you think, with the animals?
Not
or different.
The dogs, yes, but he's not a presence in the barn. I mean, he respects that I have these animals, and he can bring horses in if I'm away in the afternoon. And he loves animals, but this is my baby.
Yeah. And then there's another book?
The second book I published in 2019, and that is called They Teach Without Words, The Animals of Moose River Farm. And that one is, again, a continuation, stories about my animals. There are wonderful, wonderful horses who have helped me teach along the way that I owe my life to, for just their gentle nature, filling in the gaps of the teaching when I was training. There are the stories of my goats, and all of these stories, sort of, the theme is what they've taught me, what I have gleaned from them and taken into my classroom. So it has a teaching theme, but again, they are animal stories. So if you're an animal lover, these are great books. If I don't say so myself, only because I love these animals so much, and I want the passion of them and their stories to be shared.
Your version of all creatures, great and small.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a shout out for one of our listeners, Janet Riley, who told me about you.
Right,
Anne,
right.
And had a wonderful trip with her women friends.
Yeah.
Couldn't say enough about it. I've interviewed her because she is a Queen pickleball
player.
So it's so lovely how you hear things through other guests or other listeners, and it becomes this massive network.
Right,
So
exactly.
It's really lovely. Thank you so much for showing us your world and allowing us to take a walk on your beautiful land with your little babies.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. Glad you came.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends. If you think decluttering could help you feel better and you could use a little assistance with that, check out the online course I've developed with professional organizer and designer Carrie Luderin. It's called Too Much Stuff. And Too Much Stuff is different from other courses or articles or guidance you may have used up. We give you clear steps to deal with the clutter and the tools to help you face the overwhelming feelings and the emotions that come up when we're going through our clutter. And a lot of those emotions are just feeling anxious or guilty or just basically flooded with a lot of different confusing feelings. The course is really practical. It's realistic. The lessons are short and punchy, and they're really manageable. We're not trying to set you up for some long exploratory, super in-depth, burdensome experience. We want something really helpful for you right now. We all need help with our anxiety. So being surrounded by more calm and less chaos can really help. So now's a good time to clear out the clutter so we can focus on what's really important in our lives. So find out more at zestfulaging.com. You'll see more about this under the web courses tab. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email at zestfulaging@gmail.com. Thanks so much. And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest.